Hey, hey, hey. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing today? I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. And if you happen to be scrolling by and you don't know what's going on, my name is Paul Turner from thediscipleproject.net, and I answer youth ministry questions every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I try to help the local youth pastor by answering their questions. I usually answer 3 questions, unless there are more questions, that come in during the live stream. And so if you are a youth pastor that happens to be joining me today, well, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. I would love to hear from you. Where are you from? Tell me where you're from in the country. I would love to know. And then just put that in the chat. And then if you have a youth ministry question, well, just go ahead and put that in the chat as well. Would love to hear from you. Love to find out where you're at and what you're doing, what you have going on in youth ministry. And once again, if you have a question, just put it. If you're watching this in the future, that's what I mean to say. If you're watching this in the future and you weren't able to catch up with the live today, leave your question down below, okay? And I will hopefully get to your question next time. And so we're going to be starting here in just a minute. I want to wait, just give a couple of seconds for people to get in. And because I know that some people, are in the middle of their day. Some people may be taking a nap. I don't know. He says 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Paul, I'm sleeping. Why would you have this now? So yeah, today, answering 3 questions. We'll jump into it in a second. I will let you know that on Wednesdays as well, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, if you want to join me for prayer. Had a good prayer time this morning. So if you ever want to join me for prayer then, you can join me for prayer then. And as always, if you like this video and you like this sort of thing, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. That tells me you like the video and you want more of them. I always love going live and answering your questions. All right, so let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? Because I know that people are going to be coming in, and I will reiterate things like putting your questions in chat and those kind of things. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, by the way, why not subscribe? Maybe you're catching it live. You've never subscribed to the channel. Well, go ahead and subscribe. You'll get videos like this on a regular basis. Every week, you get probably 1 to 2 videos, depending. And they're usually centered around something that's going to make your youth meeting better, something that's going to make you better, okay? Something that's going to make your youth ministry overall better. So if you like those kinds of videos, well then I want to help you with that. That's what I want to do. I want to help you build a successful youth ministry so that you can reach more kids, you can disciple more kids, and reach more people where you live, right around your church there, okay? Because that is called sharing the gospel, building the kingdom, and living that life. So I want to help you do that as best as possible, okay? All right, let's jump into it today. Let's go ahead and get in here, and we're going to get to question number 1. So question number 1 is, how can I communicate with parents that will open up a conversation? Now, the question itself is a good question, right? And I think the question is about just dialogue, right? Because so many times youth pastors are in the dark. We're in the dark normally, but we're in the dark, especially when it comes to when it comes to talking or dealing with parents. We sometimes don't know what's going on, and because we don't know what's going on, sometimes that's scary. Because no feedback. If you're a feedback junkie like I used to be, I'm not as much anymore. But if you're a feedback junkie where you say, I need feedback, I need to know how I'm doing, I need to know how the youth ministry is going, I need you to tell me, right? First of all, if you don't know how the youth ministry is going, you might want to check with you first. Have a conversation with the Lord. And I joke there, but I think there's a first of all a sense of confidence that you have to have in yourself, that you're doing what you can do, right? And do a little audit in your own self. If you know things are not right or not well in certain areas, don't be shocked or surprised if parents give negative feedback, right? So you have to be able to answer those questions that when a conversation does open up, right? Sometimes it's, how can I communicate with parents who will open a conversation? Now, here's the deal. You don't know what kind of conversation is going to open up. you're looking for positive feedback. You're looking for constructive criticism. And sometimes you get none of that. So be careful what you ask for. You're wanting to open up a conversation. Parents have a different idea of what that conversation is going to be based on the status of the youth ministry, based on how well the youth ministry is going, based upon your actions, based upon you as a person sometimes. It's based on whether their kid is liking the youth ministry or not, whether that student likes you or not. And so when I talk about, opening a communication, like I said, be careful what you're asking for, because you're saying, well, I want to get in there and I really want to get to know these parents. I want to know these things. Well, be careful. Be careful what you ask for. I think you have to be ready for that other conversation, because you want to know here's what the deal. All right. We're the same in this regard, right? Because we all want to know, what kind of programs do our parents want? What do their kids like? What is the youth ministry offering my child, right? What are the events? What's the programming? And parents, a lot of times, have the mindset of two things: how much and what time. Those are the only two things they want to know. And in my younger days, younger Paul was, offended by that in some ways. Like, what do you mean? You only want to know two things? You only want to know what time in this? Some parents, yes, because that's their level of, because they're so used to picking up their kids. They're so used to paying out, because listen, parents are paying the school, the sports team. They're schedule driven. They understand this. And so the default mode, and that's why old Paul doesn't blame parents today. Old Paul understands. Old Paul has raised 3 adult children, has been through this. And so understands that the how much and what time are relevant questions to a parent. And that's information you have to be able to give them, right? What time's the event? How much it is. And you're going to have to say that 25 times. Do you know why? Because they're hearing the same things from about 10 different groups, right? School groups, hobby groups, karate, there's other things. I know it's hard for our minds to figure that the children are involved in other things besides youth ministry. And so I think as a youth pastor, you have to get better at communicating. So let me offer a few things you can do that. What will open up conversation, right? So let me give you a few things. Let me give you, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll give you 6. How about this? I'll give you six ways to engage parents. And you're going to have to, by the way, I'm going to give you 6 things, and you might have to try all 6. You might have to try 20. You may have to keep flipping it over and over again and trying different iterations of it. But Paul, can't I just do one thing and parents respond? No, because all parents are different, right? Just like you like to engage differently, the parents are going to want to engage differently somehow. So you may have to have multiple ways of communicating with parents, right? Texting is one, right? So if you want to be communicating, ask parents. Say, parents, would you like to be on a text list of some kind for events that we are having, right? You'll receive 1 text a month about the event or about the thing, and that's all I'm going to say. You get 1 text. You're not texting them about 25 things. This is the event text. This is the thing where I tell you about the events that are coming up, and I'm only going to text you 1 time, right? That's one way of doing it. Now, another way you can do it is you can engage. Once again, the purpose is to open up conversation. Well, a text definitely opens up conversation, right? Part of that text could just be, that's an event text, but there's different things it could be, right? Hey, would you like a morning scripture? Would you like a morning devotion for parents, right? That text that you're going to send them. It's not going to have 10 things. It's not going to have a devotion and a thing and a thing and a thing. Pick the thing you want to do and let it be that. You can't text them about everything, because they're getting texts from the football coach, from the karate teacher, from the band director. You're one of like 10 other people, not to mention their bosses and other people, okay? So texting is one way. Can you create a text list with them, with the parents who want to be? It's opt-in. It's not, hey, I'm going to gather up all the numbers and just send this out. No. If you want to be in the text thread, you opt in. It's not, I'm going to add you in and you're just going to get random messages from somebody on their phone that they don't know who you are. Okay? You have to be smart about it. Okay? So just send them a thing. So how do I do that, Paul? Well, another way, and this may be the initial way you want to do it, is surveys. So you send them a survey. What is the main way you'd like me to communicate with you? Or what is the best way for me to communicate with you? Is it text? Is it email? Is it snail mail? Just put a stamp on it. I'll send it to the house. Okay. Is it something along those lines? And put a list of choices, right? What are ways that you're going to do best to communicate? You can put video in there. You can put something like a Slack thread or a group me. What is the best way you'd like to communicate with the youth ministry, right? What is good for you? And that will tell you how many parents are interested in what, which will then tell you how many different things maybe you need to do. Now, just because they choose it doesn't mean you have to run 5 different things, okay? The best way, that means somebody's going to have to jump on board and figure out technology. Some parents are going to have to jump on board. You're going to make allowances for those parents who have zero ideas how to do anything, right? So go ahead and ask a survey and say, here's the first way to open up a conversation. What is the best way for me to communicate with you? And if it's a newsletter, if it's this or it's that, find out from the beginning what it is. Okay? The second thing I think you have to do is no matter what you do, no matter what the form of conversation is, it has to be about them. What you're doing, right? If you want to do parent ministry, make the engagements about them. Make it about their family. Make it about what's good for them, not just what's good for you, what's good for the youth program, what's good. And yes, you're going to emphasize that, and I'm going to get there, right? Give me some time. I'm going to get there after a little bit, okay? But you've got to make the communication about them, right? Why is this in your best interest, right? And you can't have 25 events a month. Right? That's not going to go good for you. You can't have a gajillion things going on. They got to be at small group. They got to be at this event. And you got 20. You can't do it. They're not going to come to everything. And parents are going to opt out of whatever communication is if you're communicating with them too much. But so whatever you do, make the communication about them. Okay. The third thing is it's got to be encouraging, right? You're making it about them, but you know what? You have to keep in mind, parents, if you're doing good parent ministry, you got to remember, you got to feed the parent. The parent is the one who drives those children to everything. The parents are the one who make decisions on whether kids are going to camp or not. Parents are making the decision on what their children are involved with, and so they should. Why would you not want to encourage them? Why would you not want to say, listen, I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to send something encouraging to you. It can't just be, here's the event, here's how much it is, and here's how much it costs. That is what they want to hear, yes, and you must include that, but there's no reason why you can't throw in a little encouragement, right? And just, hey, good morning. I hope you're having a great day. I want to let you know I prayed for you this morning, right? And hopefully you did, and you're not just saying that, but you're really praying for them. And so when you do that, offer them some encouragement, okay? Ask if you want to open up conversations. Why not have prayer requests, right? Say, listen, at the end of all your communications, just say, hey, look, do you have any prayer requests, anything I can be praying about? Well, that's one thing. That's opt-in. That's allowing parents to say, I want to share this with you. And so, maybe they won't share it in a thread. Hey, just say, hey, look, if you have any prayer requests, feel free to text me separately outside of the group, if you want to do that. And that way, not everybody knows their business, because there's parents in the group that don't want other parents knowing their business, okay? So ask them to text you outside of that or email you outside of that and all those things, okay? So ask for prayer requests. A book club. There are going to be some parents who are going to be into it, some parents are not. But once again, there's no reason why you couldn't start a book club around a particular book. It doesn't have to be a Sunday school class. It doesn't have to be a Zoom call. It could just be, hey, I'm reading this. Do you want to read along with me? Here's a link to the Amazon book. Go ahead and get it. And I'm going to be sharing some thoughts. Right? So you're reading together and you're creating an opportunity for conversation. Okay? Now, the last thing, I would say this, and I think this is number 7. I think I threw text in there. So we're gonna say this is going to be number 7. But is having a newsletter, okay? Which brings me to the fact this, I'll show you, and if you're not a subscriber of my newsletter, I'm going to show you how I set up my newsletter so that I can have engagement with you. Here's a simple way for me to do this. So let me go ahead and jump into the newsletter here, and I'll show you what we have. Okay. And excuse me. And so what we have here is we have our newsletter. Excuse me. We have our newsletter. And if you're not, like I said, a subscriber, I'll put a link down below and you can get it then. But if you're going to include something in a newsletter, I would keep it for parents, keep it to 3 things, right? So the first, these are all the things you get. These are all the articles and stuff that I send to you all who are subscribers. I talk about trends in culture. Right, so if you're going to put trends in culture, 1 article, something that's going on, okay? Something that's happening large, right? Something maybe national that's happening. And if you want to put something, like I said, an article that's going on, right? I put in here for you, the youth pastor, like skills and wellness, something that's going to benefit you. I put little jobs in there. If you're looking for a job, I post jobs in there because people reach out to me and say, hey, Paul, can you do this? And then I have videos, right? Things like a game or talk about prizes in youth ministry. Sometimes I share youth ministry from around the world. I get different, videos that are going to be engaging for you. Something funny, right? Youth group chaperones. This guy here, killing it, kills it. I've said everything he says in this video. He has said, okay, I've said it, and you probably have too. Then I put something like what I'm reading. So here's a book I'm reading called Raised to Stay. I've already read it, but I've read it. It's called Raised to Stay. Great book. Highly recommend it. And then I put resources and services, things that I offer to you as a youth pastor, right? So whether it's my store or the podcast or one-on-one coaching or my monthly mentor or the new youth pastor bundle that I have put together if you're a new youth pastor, right? So if you're going to do a newsletter, I would say something from culture, okay? Put in there something from culture and put in there something local, right? Maybe something's going on and hey, look, here's an idea. Maybe you don't have an event that month, but something's going on in your town that says, hey, just want to let you know, here's a family-friendly event that you can get together with your kids and go do something fun, right? That's simple enough, right? So you're feeding the family. You're saying, hey, here's something for you. And by the way, right, I give you all those videos and all those things, but then I also put a little bit of something there for me. It says, hey, I have some resources you may be interested in. So when you do something nationwide culture, you do something local, something that's going to say, hey, this is a great idea. Why don't you guys do this as a family this weekend? It'd be fun, right? And then you put at the end there, say, hey, what's happening, right? And the last thing you put on there is, hey, by the way, here's what's coming up in youth ministry. Maybe you put 3 or 4 dates, you put the times, you put how much they cost. Don't make it long. And at the end you say, if you have any questions, please let me know. and then they will go ahead and do that, right? And that's the call to action, right? So when I ask you to subscribe to the channel or subscribe to my newsletter, right? That's called a CTA. That's a call to action. And you are going to have a CTA in your newsletter. What is the call to action? You can't do 50 things. You can only do one thing. If you put in what's happening and camp is a big deal, don't put anything else. Hey, be sure to sign up for camp this week. That's it. You're asking them to do one thing, not 10 things, right? Don't give them 50 things to do because they have a list from their school. They have a list from their coaches. They have a list from other things. They don't need a list from us. Make it simple. Ask them to do one thing that you're really wanting them to do, okay? So, like I said, when you're talking about opening up and communicating with parents and opening up a conversation with parents, be ready, first of all, for that other conversation where they're going to share something with us that's not constructive, that's going to share something with you that you're not going to like. It's not constructive feedback. It's not constructive criticism, right? Be ready, because some parents have feelings, and they have feelings about the program and what have you. But know this, that if you open up the conversation and you get that, just say, okay, I take it. I'm going to take it in me, right? And say, look, yep, you're absolutely right. Whatever it is, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to work on that. It's not debate. It's, I'm going to work on that. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. And like I said, all these ideas I just shared with you, you may have to go through several iterations. One thing may not work. The second thing might not work. The third thing might work, right? So you may have to go through a few things, and you may have to have 2 or 3 ways of communicating with parents. Okay. So I hope that was helpful to you. And I hope that you will, if you're not a subscriber yet, you go ahead and click that subscribe button, and you will go ahead and click the thumbs up button. Let me know you like the video and you want more of them. Okay. All right, so we're going to go on to question 2. Let me go ahead, and if you're just joining me now, my name is Paul Turner from thediscipleproject.net, and I answer youth pastor questions every Wednesday. This is called Office Hours. And if you are interested in asking a question, if you're jumping in, I just lost my train of thought because Jeff Blakey just said, my principal wants to know why the rooster crossed the road to get to the KFC. What was the answer, Jeff? Why my principal wants to know why the rooster crossed the road to get to the KFC. I want to know. Can you share the answer? Because I want to know. But like I said, if you're just joining in, I like to answer questions. I've been a youth pastor for a little over 30 years, and I like to answer youth pastor questions because there's so many youth pastors out there trying to build a successful youth ministry, and yet find themselves bogged down in all kinds of things that can be fixed if they want to fix them. And so I try to help and come alongside and help youth pastors be able to do this. Okay. So we're going to go into question 2 here in a minute. I don't know if Jeff is going to share the answer to this. Why the rooster crossed the road? I don't know why the rooster crossed the road. The chicken crossed the road. But we'll go ahead and get on to question number 2 here. Let's see. Oh, no. Oh, no, Jeff. Okay. I'm going to do it. My principal wants to know, Jeff Blakey, everybody. My principal wants to know why the rooster crossed the road to get to the KFC. And Jeff says the answer to that is to see the chicken strip. My. Okay. There you go. Okay. That's funny. That's funny. I'm sorry. It's funny. If it's funny, I'm going to laugh. That's just how it is. So we're going to jump into question number 2 here. Jeff's almost derailed the entire live stream here. Okay. Excuse me. So let's go to number 2 here. Let's see. How can I, question number 2. Let's get rid of that. How can I increase ownership with my students? It's a good question. I hear a lot of people talk about this, about wanting their students to own the youth ministry. And I will tell you immediately, the fastest way for students to get ownership in your youth ministry is for you to stop doing everything. Let it sink in for just a minute. Okay? How much of the work of the youth ministry do you do? If you tell me that you're doing 80 to 90% of the work, then there is no room for ownership for those students. You are sucking all the air out of the room. You are consuming all of the oxygen in the room. And so you're going to have to, first of all, stop doing things. So you're going to need to make a list. Here's my encouragement. Make a list of all the things that you do, right? And then ask yourself, number one, do I need to be doing those things? Do I have to do it? Is that my jam? Is that the thing that I need to really pay attention to? Or, right? Or is it something that's, that only you can do? And so, and when you make that list of things, the things that remain after you've said, look, I'm only going to do this and this. After that, you say, okay, I got 15 things left to do. Well, those 15 things, you're going to have to start writing names down of people in your youth ministry or adult volunteers. But we're talking about students now. So if you want to increase ownership, they need roles and responsibilities, right? Because now they have an impact on what is going to occur. When I sit with my youth group, and part of my youth group time is I'll do announcements, but I have a small group. Like I said, I have 6, 7 students. So I ask them, I plan the event with them right there with them and say, hey, we're going to this multi-whatever place, like it's got video games and glow-in-the-dark putt-putt and all these things. All right, we're going on the 16th, right? We're good with that date. Everybody? Yes. Okay. Number 2, I ask them about the price package you guys want, okay? It'll cost this much. We're going to pay for this much for you. And then the third thing I discuss with them is, well, what time are we going? And then I make a suggestion. I say, well, what about 11 to 2? Okay? And they go, okay, we'll go 11 to 2. So all this has to be confirmed and all that, but I'm working with them as a group to kind of get it going through the processes. This way, at least they know. I'm not trying to be, Mr. Amazing here. I'm not trying to wow them with my, look at this great plan I have here. Look at this, right? I'm saying, look, we're going to get this done together. We're going to, whatever event we're doing, whatever we're trying to do, I'm not trying to be slick. I'm just trying to get things done, and I want you to be involved with this. Just recently, I have a 15-year-old young lady, freshman into my group, and I said, okay, I'm preaching this week. Everybody's going to be out of town. I need somebody in the group I want somebody to preach my first point with me. I'm going to have 4 points. I want somebody to do the first one. Who wants to work with me on that? Young lady raised her hand and says, I will. And I said, great. So I gave her some notes. What is my first point about? I said, but you're going to do it. I'm not writing the message for you. You're going to have to study it. You have to look at it. I gave her some pointers on studying, pointers on, delivery, all those kind of things. Anyway, she got up there, crushed it, right? The video, by the way, I'll put a link somewhere up here if you want to watch some of that, of what she did. She did a great job. But once again, could I have preached the whole message? Yes. But why would I? If I have a student who wants to participate. Just recently on Wednesday nights, our students started leading worship for the Wednesday night congregation. So they get up and they lead worship. These guys own about as much as they can own. All right. There's very few things that you or I can do that a student can't do with a little bit of help and training and mentoring. So I'm going to say, go back to your list. Make your list of things that you're doing that you probably shouldn't be doing, and find a student who fits that, who has gifts, talents, and abilities that line up with that. And then all you have to do is ask them. You're not just putting people to work. You're saying, hey, I notice that you're good at that. I see that you're good at that. I need some help. Would you like to help me do this? And if they say no, it's okay if they say no. It's fine. You'll just find somebody else, right? But you're at least giving them the opportunity to own a piece of something. Once a month, well, every other month, we have student-led night. So they lead the game. They do the devotion or message. If there's anything else to be done, they do that. And that's that. That's what they do. But that is our system of getting things done, is of creating ownership, is allowing them to participate at the level they want to participate at with the gifts and talents that God has given them. And so I find ways to do that. That means I have to give up things. So I will end this part by repeating what I said at the beginning. In order for them to have more ownership, you have to have less ownership. They have to participate. You have to do less. Make that list. Circle the 1 or 2 things that you're going to do. And then everything else, you're going to go out and find somebody. And you're going to continue to do the things you're going to do until you find somebody to do it. And then you're going to let it go. And you're going to let them do it. And then once you do that, you build conversations. You're doing discipleship with them. You're helping them. And you have a completely different youth ministry dynamic. Okay? So that is my answer to this. How do you increase ownership with my students? You decrease your ownership. You sell your shares, and you say, okay, you're gonna own 80% of the ministry, and I'm gonna own 20% of it. When in reality, we all own 100% of it. But I think you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying. Okay. All right. So, and let me give you a resource that will help you with this. Okay. Let me offer you a resource that I think can help with this. Let's see. Let me go and peek around here. And that is this is my youth meeting playbook. Now, my youth meeting playbook is, and if I have one with me, let me see here. Do I have one with me? Hold on. Nope. I thought I had one next to me, but I don't. Should have had one with me. But that being said, I do have what this resource is, and I'll put a link down below if you would like to, have it for yourself. Basically, it has a lot of articles in there. It has basically planning sheets. Okay, 52 planning sheets. 50. We average, right, 52 basically meetings a year. 52, at least 52 main meetings, right, Wednesday night or whatever it may be, and so it has 52 already made for you sheets. But it has worksheets, it has student leadership resources in it, it has articles, it has ways to work with your staff, how to do a youth meeting. It's got all that in there. So if you say, look, Paul, I would like to decrease my ownership, well, guess what? It starts with good planning. You plan on having less ownership. You plan on giving things away, and there are slots in this resource here on the planning sheet for students. And you're going to say, I'm going to write down a student's name for this. I'm going to write a student's name down for that. And so I have baked into the planning sheet that you're going to give away some responsibilities. Because if you're not thinking about it, you're not going to do it. You're going to say, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You're not thinking about other people doing it. And so this resource is a great resource that if you are, whether you're a new youth pastor who is just getting started and you say, Paul, I want to increase ownership. Okay. This will help you do that. If you're a veteran, listen, and you say, hey, I need something just to keep track of things, or maybe you're a volunteer, listen, this is going to be a great resource to help you do that. It's going to have the articles in there that I walk you through the processes of student leadership, roles and responsibilities. I think it has a whole list of roles and responsibilities you can give away. All kinds of things in there. They're going to help you create the dynamic of ownership in your youth ministry. And it starts with good planning. So that's what I say. I say go ahead and get that. And don't forget that if you are just joining me, by the way, thank you for joining me. But listen, if you're been watching for a little while and you're not if you're not a subscriber yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button, and be sure to go and click the thumbs up button. That tells me you like the video and you want more of them. Okay. Alrighty then. So we're on to question number 3. third and final question. So if you have any questions, you may want to drop them in the chat. If you're watching this in the future, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. And let's see. Question number three. Here we go. Question number 3. Okay. And if you're just joining me, by the way, my name is Paul Turner from thediscipleproject.net, and I answer questions every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Time, to be able to answer questions for youth pastors, because youth pastors want to build successful youth ministries, and I want youth pastors to build successful youth ministries, right? Because that means more people are being reached for Jesus. That means more people are hearing the gospel. That means more people are being discipled. And so I want to help you be able to do that. All right, moving on, okay? All right, here is question number 3. Like I said, every week I do this 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, so feel free to join me when you can. And I'm looking for something here. Question number 3 is, what's the formula for building a faithful team of volunteers? Okay? What is the formula? It's a good question. Because the formula, if you go A plus B equals C, right? You want to be able to come up with a sum. You want to be able to come up with, an idea of, how do I keep my team together? How do I keep my team to remain faithful to what is going on in the youth ministry? And I would say it starts with letting them know on a regular basis, letting your team know. First of all, is communicating the vision, the mission. You're always communicating the why are we here? Why are we gathered? What are we doing? Right? It can't just be and I'm not talking about, we're here to run a great youth meeting. That's not the vision or mission. Well, we're here to keep kids from doing bad things. Nope, that's not the mission either. The ultimate vision, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, the ultimate vision and mission doesn't change from what the ultimate vision and mission of Jesus is, right? And that is to go into all the world, preach the gospel, and make disciples. That's the vision and mission, right? Now, there's other little nuances in there and so forth, right? The vision is go into all the world and make disciples, right? And we want to preach the gospel and make disciples. That's the vision. The mission is, how are we going to do that? And I think you always have to come back to, how do you create a formula for building faithful team members? Well, I think it is about keeping them focused on the vision and the mission, first and foremost. To be faithful, you're not asking them to be faithful to the youth meeting. Anybody can do that, right? Be faithful to the youth meeting. I say you start to lose people when the vision and mission is no longer put forward. When you're not talking about the mission or how we're doing what we're doing. Why is small groups important? Why is this outreach important? Why is this series of messages important? Why is students going to camp important? Right? If you're not always communicating why these things are important, people get disinterested. People just don't care. And listen, if you're not reminded why it's important, you quit caring too. We're all the same way. We get distracted. Look, squirrels, right? Shiny things. That's what we do. When we're not, and somebody has to bring us back, right, to has to bring us back to keeping us on mission and keeping us those things. So I think that's the first thing. The first thing is keeping your volunteers, or a formula for building a faithful team of volunteers, is always keeping the vision and the mission before them. Keeping the vision before them and the mission of how we do and why they are so important to the vision happening, because their participation in the mission of making it happen, right? How we do what we do, they are so vital to that, right? There is no replacement for them. They're getting it done, and you have to equip them to do that, and to have faithful people. There's I saw a little thing here, and I'm going to drop this in here. I think I'm going to drop it in because I want to show it to you. I found it on LinkedIn. Somebody had put it in here, and I'm going to just pop it right in there. Okay, let's move this over. I'm going to pop it in. Okay, oops. Let me go ahead and get this. Find out why this is doing this. Here we go. So they put a little graph there. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Here we go. Employees stay. This is put up by a consulting firm. And they said, look, employees stay where they're paid well. So if we were to break this down, okay, into its components. First of all, we don't pay our volunteers. You might. I don't. The payment, I would say, for a volunteer, is that they got to do the thing they wanted to do and they saw the results of their actions. That whatever it is they did, they taught the Sunday school, they led the small group, they went on the retreat with you, they went to the amusement park with you. That the payoff for them is that they got to minister to young people, that there was an opportunity. And this goes back to, by the way, you doing everything. If you're not giving your volunteers something to do, that you're not paying them. You've got to give them something valuable. Not everything you give them is valuable. Emptying the trash on Wednesday night, to some may be valuable because they're contributing to the look of the room, keeping it clean, right? That's a payoff for them. But their volunteer, their work, there has to be a payoff in what they do. You have to be able to give them something that is, first of all, maybe it lines up with their gifts, talents, and abilities. You know, volunteers tend not to be as faithful when they're doing something they're not good at, right? But they're willing to do it. So how can you find a way to get those volunteers out of the thing they don't like and get them into the thing that they're most passionate about, they're most skilled at, they're most gifted at? How do we do that? That's your job and my job as a leader. So when you think about paying, that's what I'm talking about there. I'm not talking about money. Okay, although you can give them gifts. There's nothing wrong with that. Rewarding them, right? That's in here too. Mentoring. Mentor them at the level that they want to be mentored. They don't need to know everything about the program. They don't need to know everything about the philosophy and ideology of your ministry. They don't need to know all that. What they do need to know is how can I do my job, the thing that you've asked me to do? How can you help me do it to the best of my ability? So I feel confident in what I'm doing. I feel good about what I'm doing. And you come along and you've helped me do that. Okay? You've helped me do that because you've mentored them to the level that they want to be mentored. They don't need to know everything. They need to know what they need to do for that. Help them do that, the thing that they signed up for. Don't spread them so thin, right? Mentor them in the things that they want to be able to do and maybe some things they want to get better at. Let them tell you what that is. Don't suppose, right? Number 3, I'm going to do a thing. I'm going to move this over here maybe because I can see that a little better from where I'm at. No, maybe not. I'll put it over here. All right, number 3 is challenged. Okay, there we go. I'll make it a little smaller maybe. No, I won't. Make it bigger. Challenge them, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with challenging, and that's not a negative. You're encouraging them, and when I say challenge, right, you're not challenging them to a fight in the parking lot, although that I'm sure that happens. Somewhere. But you're challenging them to mature in their faith. You're giving them opportunities, right? When a volunteer comes on board, it is to me, and I make sure they understand this, that look, this is an open opportunity for discipleship as well. You know, discipleship never ends. Just because you're an adult doesn't mean discipleship ends. You're still learning. You're still learning what's going on. You're still trying to grab hold of things. Right? And so when you challenge somebody, you're saying, look, I sense that you have some gifts and abilities. You've never gotten up and spoken in front of the audience before. Would you be interested in doing that? Would you be interested in sharing the devotion? I think you'd be really good at it. Right? You challenge them. The challenge isn't an aggressive thing. A challenge is simply for them to move into an area that they may be hesitant about, but they do have skills and abilities, but you want to help them do that. Right? So you're going to challenge them by giving them opportunities, okay? Another one here is promoted, okay? And this can also act with the challenge that, once again, there's no promotion per se in volunteering, But I think I think a volunteer sees it as a promotion when they finally get to do the thing they want to do. Okay? When they get to do the thing, they see that as a promotion. Okay? Involved. I think that speaks for itself. Okay? Being involved. You've got to give them roles and responsibilities. Otherwise, they're going to be a headache for you. Or worse, they're just not going to be faithful. You say, you don't really need me. I don't do anything. I stand at the back and do disciplinary work for you. That's not fun. And may be necessary, and some people may be like that. But if they don't feel like they're involved with what's going on, they're probably going to check out on you. Okay? All right. Appreciated. Okay? They just want to be appreciated. There needs to be a time of year. Hopefully your church has this where, once a year they're doing a volunteer appreciation day. And if they don't have one, we'll create one for your adults. Be at the end of the year, end of the school year, whatever's good for you. But find a way to appreciate your adults. Okay? Let's see. Trusted. Trusted. Do you trust them to do the thing you've given them to do? Or are you micromanaging them? Or are you, taking a thing away from them because you don't feel like they're doing it the way you want them to do it, or you want them to do it? Do you trust them? You've given them an assignment. Can you trust them to do it? Well, yes, you should. Or you can just check in with them, right? I always say the phrase I learned was you always inspect what you expect. And that just means that's just checking in. How are you doing? Can I help you with anything? Do you need anything from me? If you do, let me know. If you don't, fine, I move along. So we're still on schedule for this to happen. Is that right? Great, fantastic. And you move on, right? And then you have empowered. Do they have the authority to do the things you've asked them to do? Not only are you giving them the thing to do, but now you're empowering them to do it. You're saying, look, yes, you have the authority to, tell a kid when to go to bed if they're at camp. Do they have the authority to do certain things? Once again, not taking your authority, but if you're going to give them the authority to lead a small group, well, then they have to do certain things. They have to be willing to, hey, do I have the authority to correct a student? Do I have the authority? Not when I say that, you know what I mean, right? Do I have the authority to say, hey, buddy, you need to settle down? Do I have the authority to do that? Yes, you do. But also, if you have to do that, please let me know that you had to do that so that I can be aware of it, right? Keeping open communication, right? So authority can be empowered is not just about authority. Empowered is also confidence. Are they confident to do that? Are you empowering them, giving them the tools, the resources, the whatever it is that they need to do the thing they need to do, right? It's not wrapped up in authority, because there's plenty of volunteers who've wanted authority. And not all adult volunteers should get authority, right? I think we agree upon that. And the last thing is, are they valued? Do you communicate value to them? Do you ever look? I tried my best every week to say, hey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of the team. Thank you for just gratefulness, right? And you can do this all year long. You don't have to wait for the volunteer, day when you give them a reward or give them a gift or give them something where you honor them. You can value them by simply saying, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part today. Thank you for doing your role. And in valuing them, you're telling them, why do I value you? Because you're saying that, listen, because you did this, this happened. You are connecting their actions to what has just occurred. Because you were here, we were able to have an extra 20 kids come to this outreach. It would not nearly have been effective if you were not here, right? And so I think it's super important, just an attitude of gratefulness, just an attitude of thank you, right? And saying, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for sticking with me. Thanks for, being a part when times are hard, right? And so when you value them, you're going to make those volunteers that you have feel like they can stay around because they trust your leadership. They trust your leadership. And if you ever violate any of these things that are right here, be sure you go back and fix that pretty quickly, because faithful people will be faithful for a while, but if you continually break these things, if you continually not do those things, they will not be faithful very long. So, but that is that. Those are my, what I would say is the formula for building a faithful team are those 9 things that I just shared there. Is being able to show to people exactly what they're worth and why they're important to your team. Okay? All right. I think we're about done. This may be the longest I've ever gone. I don't know. But I want to thank you guys for being here. Thank you. You're super valuable, because I appreciate you just tuning in and hanging out. I will show you one last little resource though. If you're not ready for school yet, and by the way, if you just jumped in here during the live stream, I do this every Wednesday. This is office hours, and so I answer questions from youth pastors every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. You're always welcome to join. Those that have been with me for all this time, I think I've been running now for about almost 50 minutes. Thank you for being here. Be sure to go and click the thumbs up button that tells me you like the video and you want more of them. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Okay. But let me offer you one last resource here, and that is the Back to School bundle. The Back to School bundle here. If you're not ready for fall yet, it's here. I know it's still summer, but it's here. In this Back to School bundle, I will tell you this: you can get the My Youth Meeting Playbook. It's in this package here. It's in this thing right here. Okay. So if you say, look, I would like that youth meeting thing, yeah, but you can also get, and then 18 is wrong. I need to change that to 22. I think it's 22 lessons, which covers you for the whole fall, all the way through Christmas. Okay. So if that is of interest to you, links will be down in the show notes. Okay. Like I said, it has lessons, it has the graphics with it, it has the PowerPoints, it has social media graphics, it has things like an escape room that I put in there. It gives you a guide to an epic, how to do an epic, Nerf night. There's lots of tools and resources in there. Be sure to check the link down below and see all that is in there. It's a great way to support the channel, by the way. If you want to support what I do, if you want to support the things I do, be sure to go ahead and grab a hold of something that I have created for you. And that lets me know, say, hey, Paul, love what you do. I'm going to leave comments down below. I'm going to hit likes buttons. I'm going to buy your stuff, because that's the way you tell me. It says, hey, that's how you value me, right? It's how you keep me faithful, is simply saying, hey, I'm going to show up. I'm going to do all the things, and I'm going to buy some stuff from you, Paul, because I appreciate what you do. Okay? All right. So that is it for today, guys. That is, like I said, we've almost gone a full hour here. Is there any last minute questions, anything like that? Let me know. Excuse me. If you want to leave, if you're watching this in the future, like I said, be sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below, and you will leave your question there, and I will answer that question for next time, okay, here in office hours. So anyway, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you being a part. Hope that you enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys next time, and you guys have a great youth meeting, all right? And we'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.